Maori everyone, in this session we will learn about the maintenance app. Specifically in the maintenance app, we will look for how can you create a form in DHIS2. When I say form, to just give you in reference, in the MS1, all the different sections are different programs, right? Immunization, home visits, and so on and so on. So in DHIS2, all these different forms are called data sets. So whenever I say that I need to create this form in DHIS2, I will say that I need to create this data set in DHIS2. Okay. And once you start, assessing the data set, we also need to assess different things from the data set. First thing that we need to assess in data set is category options. Category is a very major part and very useful part for any form or program or data set for that matter. Okay. Then we will also see data element. What is data element? So in this presentation, I will give you a brief about all of these points, but then I will also give you a brief demo on how do you create these things, how can you merge them, how could you create a form in DHIS2, okay? And then we also see what sort of facilities are available to share this with different users. Once you design this form in DHIS2, because designing is one thing, but how do you assign this form to different health facilities, and how do you provide the access to different users as well? So that we will see in this presentation as well as in the demo. So a real paper form, is we are starting from here. This is what a health facility file fills in every month. Okay. Now our job is to build the same in DHIS2. The first form that we see over here is, or the first section that we see over here is immunization. Now in immunization, we have hepatitis B less than 24 hours. We have hepatitis B equals to and more than 24 hours. And we also have BCG, which is less than 24 hours. Okay. Then we also have the other section, which is home visit, which says sick patient treated, diabetic case treated, hypertension, mental case treated. Okay. Now, the difference between these two sections are these category options, okay, or you call them different option set or options or whatever. But yeah, in DHIS2, these different options are called category options. So, first of all, we need to understand the data set, right? So, this form itself that you see over here is a data set itself, okay? It is a data set. So, and as well as this one, the home visit itself is a data set in DHIS2. Okay. Now, talking about the category and the different things, so we're gonna come to the next page to understand what are different categories and options. So, as we have already observed that with this specific data element, we have two options which needs to be captured. Okay. So, if I want to capture hepatitis B less than 24 hours, I need to put how many male, how many female. On the other end, if I want to capture data for, let's say, home visits, how many sick patients treated this month, then we just need to put a number. There's no bifurcation for male, female, or age is required, for anything for that matter. So let's move to the next slide about the category model. So first, as I told you, we need to assess what are the different category options or default options we need to make in the application. So before even making any data element, and what are data elements? Each and every row is a data element. So before making this in the application, first we need to create these options in the application. Okay, because once these options are available in the application, then only you can associate these options with the data elements. So moving forward, first we identified that we need to create two options. Okay, one is male, one is female. So you create male and female. Then you're gonna club them. Okay, you need to group them basically. So then you need to create a category which says male and female sex. Okay, so you will create a category and the name of the category will be sex, and in this category you will give these two different options, male and female. Now your category is ready, but we also need to create a category combination just in case if we have two different categories over here and we want to club them with data element, then you can also create a category combination. Okay, believe me, the category combination and this whole process is not easy, and I understand that it might take some time to catch up with what I'm saying over here. But as soon as you start practicing this thing, or try to observe the form and try to make this in the application, it will be quite easy for you as well. Even it took some time for me to understand when I was starting DHIS so long back, to understand and start doing it. But yeah, now it has been simplified a lot, and it will be quite easy for you as well as soon as you start practicing it. Okay, moving forward. So now we have identified that we have male and female, and we have also created a category named sex or gender, combining these two category options. And then we also need to create a category combination, same sex. Okay, moving forward, data element. What is a data element? So our data element is each row in your form. Okay, so as you remember, you have a form. Each row in that form is called data element in DHIS2. So whenever we're going to talk about the whole form designing in DHIS2, that's data set. But in that specific form, whatever columns needs to be filled, they are called data element in DHIS2. Okay, so there are different terminology we call, that's DHIS2. Now, when you're creating a data element, you need to select certain properties, right? The first property would be, let's say, value type. What sort of value you want to capture? It could be number, it could be text, it could be boolean, it could be date, it could be email, it could be date of, it could be a date, right? It could be anything for that matter. So we have a long list of value type available in DHIS2. You could choose any of the value type which is required for this specific data element. For our data element, which is hepatitis B, we just need number, right? Because we want to capture number, so we just need to select number. Once we did that, now we need to select aggregation type. Okay, aggregation. So in aggregation meaning, when you club the data all together, when you talk about analysis, if you want to see all the captured data for this one in the analysis, what do you want to see about it? Whether you want to see the sum, or average, or count. Okay, most common case is sum, because let's suppose you have entered data for 5 facility, and now you want to see the total of these 5 facility. Then what you want to see is the total number of hepatitis B doses given in those 5 facilities, right? So in that case, you will select sum. But if you want to see like an average, what is the average of the hepatitis B doses given in 5 facility, then you will select average. But in our case, that's not relevant. In our case, sum is the relevant one. So we'll select that. Domain. The third option that we need to select is domain basically. What is a domain? So DHI tries to support two type of data model. One is aggregate and the other one is tracker. Aggregate is all about capturing all the aggregated data, all the number based data, something like this, right? Whatever we are capturing over here is aggregated. But when we talk about case based data, for an example, we have the GBV system, right? GBV program, in which you have to register a person first, and then you register the different components altogether. Then we select tracker. But if we are creating any data element for these form, then we need to select aggregate over here. And then of course, lastly, we need to select category combinations. So let's suppose with this data element, when I'm creating this data element, I need to select a category combination sex, because it was required for male and female. But in this case, the sick patient treated, there was no combination of male, female, or age bifurcation, right? So then we will just leave it default only. So these are few properties, or I would say the mandatory properties that you need to select when you are creating a data element in the application. Now, what is a data set? We already seen that. Okay, it's a whole form in which you have all these different data elements. So that whole form is basically data set. And in the next slide, I'm just showing you the steps that we have just discussed. First, we will identify the category options. Then we will create the categories. Then we will create the category combinations. Then we will come to data elements and we will create the data element. Once the data element is created, then we will create the data set, the form itself in the application, and then only we will be able to assign this form to different users, or on different health facilities or islands or different things. Okay, but the process remains same. So now I hope you know what is the category or category options, and what is the data element, and what is a data set. Okay, so data set is the whole form, and the data element is all these different components or the fields that are part of this data set. Those are data element. Now, Given that the presentation is done, if you have any questions, please raise your hand. I'm here to help you, but I'm moving forward towards the demo session of the application for the same process. Now, to create any data element, category, or any administrative thing in the DHIS2, you have to look for an app named maintenance app. Okay, so this is the maintenance app. Again, I've just clicked on the app menu, which are these 9 dots, and I looked for maintenance, and I will just click on that. Now, as soon as you click on the app, the maintenance app will be opened with several options, of course. And as you can see, we have these different tabs available. In this session, what we're going to see is we're going to see category, data element, and data set, right? These are the three things that we seen in the presentation. So first, I'm going to go to category. Now, in the category, as you might have remember, we saw first we need to create category options, right? Because if I show you the data set, which is here, right? So now if you look at the data set, what we have to do is we have to create these two options, okay? Male and female as category options first. So I'm just gonna go to category options, and this is the list of all the existing category options which are available. So you can use the predefined one if you want to use one of them. But for training, I'm just going to create new options. Okay. So just click on plus icon over here. And when I click on the plus icon, this window will be open. And from here, I will give a name, male. And just for a reference, I'm giving a suffix also training or just T. Okay. Male underscore T. Short name also I'm going to give same, male underscore T. Nothing else to be mandatory to be filled. So these two things you fill, and then it will be all. Just click on save. Once you click on save, now I'm going to create the other one, which was female underscore T. Okay. And yeah, also as you can see, if I try to fill the same name which is already available, so we already have a category option name female available. That's why it is saying the field requires a unique value, but I'm just creating it for training. So I'm just gonna do it like that, female underscore T, and that'll be all, saving it. Now what I've done is I've created my two option sets underscore T if I want to see that. Yes, female underscore T and male underscore T. Now I have to club them in a single category. Okay, so I will come to the second option, which is category. Category, create plus, and I'm gonna give it a name. Let's say sex. Short name same, and from here we need to select disaggregation. Okay, we do not need to select attribute, we need to select disaggregation because in the form we want to see them as separate categories. Okay, so I'm going to select disaggregation from here, and from here I'm going to select my categories which I have just created, options 1 and the female. I just selected that, and now I will click on save. Once I click on save, this is also saved now. Yeah, over here, let me also rename it actually, because I'm just creating it for training. So I'm going to say sex underscore tree and underscore T, and save now. Now this is saved also. Now I'm going to go to category combination to create a category combination. So I'm just going to click on plus icon. I'm going to click and say sex underscore T again. And then from here, I will select my category that I have just created. Okay. Again, the same question might arise. Why are we again selecting this sex underscore T that we have already clubbed? Now you can see you also have other categories available with you. So if you want to club this category with any other group as well, you can club them. That's why we are making it. Okay. Even if you do not need to club it, it's a mandatory process to make a category combination even with a single category. So I'm just selecting that, and I will click on save button. Now my category combination is created, as simple as that. Okay, my category combination is created. I can now use this category combination in multiple, I would say data elements. I could have 10 elements, 100 elements for male and female category wherever they are asking. Now I do not need to create separate data elements in the application. I will just create single element associated with this category, and when I go to the data entry page, I will see male female bifurcation for all the data elements that I have associated it with the category combination. Now I'm just going to go to data element now, because we have done the category. Going to data element, click on data element. This is the list of existing data element. I'm just going to create 2-3 data element, B, C, G doses. Okay, again short name BCG doses. Now in the data element there are certain fields that we need to take care of. Okay, because this is more vast than the categories. So again, just to remind you, what is a data element? Data element is the all the components which are part of a form, which are part of the data set. So I'm creating each and every component. So BCG doses we are creating first. Now I've given a name, I've given a short name. I also have an option code. Code is important for integration with different system. Let's suppose BCG doses is also being captured in a different system, and at some point of time we want to integrate both of the system. We want to push the data from that from this system, or we want to pull the data from that system. So the name in those system could be different, right? It is not mandatory that the name is going to be same in that system also, BCG doses. So the unique identifier between these two systems will be the code. So if we are using a code and they are not using the code, we can just give them the code. They can fetch that, or if they are using the code, they can give it to us. We can also use the same code. So here we will use that code, but if you don't have any code, it's okay, just move forward. Description, if you want to give any description for this specific data element, you can always give that. How do you see that? On the data entry page, there will be a eye icon, the information icon. So whatever you put in the description, everything will be available over there. Okay, so I'm just going to say BCG doses given. Okay, then leave this. Then we have form name. Form name is also important. What is a form name basically? So for name, you can give any name actually. You can give a very detailed name. BCG doses given in the month, etc., etc. But what do you want to see exactly on the form? On the data entry page, what do you want to see? So you can fill the form name over here. But if you want to just see this exact same name as the name, then you don't need to fill it. Okay, it is not mandatory. But if your name and your form name is different, you want to see it at something else, then you can always give a form name as well. Okay, leave it for now. Now we have domain type. Remember it from the presentation. We have two different type of domains. We have aggregated and tracker. Currently, we are creating a data set, so it is all aggregated data. So we have to select aggregate from here. Now, value type. Remember value type? We have a lot of type of value type available. It could be text, long text, letter, phone number, email, date and time, integer, positive integer, username, coordinates, and so on and so on. But for this, what do we need is we need number. So I'm just going to select number value type, okay, because it needs to be captured as number. And then the aggregation type, if you remember from the presentation, it could be sum, average, count, standard deviation, variance, minimum, maximum. It could be again a lot of things, but again what we need is sum. So I'm just going to select sum over here. Okay, now this is again an important, I would say, a field to be selected or non-selected. It says store zero data value. We have seen that in our past experience, that a lot of time most of the data is being filled as zero. So if you are not able to, if you do not have services to provide, or if there are no services being provided, you have zero to fill, right? So data entry operator just fills 0, 0, 0. Now what happens? You start filling 0, and then slowly your data become huge. Your database become huge. So if you do not want to save zeros, if you do not want to keep the zeros in the database, what you can do is you can just leave it like this. Okay, store data value. But if you click on this, then the 0 will also be saved. Okay, so if I don't click this, that means even if you put 0 on any of the field in the data entry, that 0 will not be saved. Okay, next time when you go back, you will not be able to see 0 because it is gone. But if you click on this, then the 0 will be saved. Okay, so again, it depends on the requirements. Maybe here we need this, so we will just click on this, but otherwise we can just leave it like that. So I've just created that 0. Now, category combination. Again, we just saw how did we create the category combination. Now from here, we need to select that category combination. You see, sex underscore T. So we just created this category combination, and now because we need this, so we just selected this for BCG doses. So now when I go to the data entry page, I will be able to see BCG doses for male and for female. Okay, so I'm selecting that and just saving it. Okay, that's all. Let me also give it underscore T because everything is being created for training. So I'm just gonna do this underscore T underscore T. Click on save. Your data element is now saved. BCG doses underscore T. Okay, you see, you are in the list now. Now let's suppose if I want to create another element for hepatitis. Okay, hepatitis B, and all the properties are going to be same. It's just the name that needs to be changed. Okay, then I do not need to click on plus button, fill all the details together. What I can do is simply click on these three dots, and you have an option over here, clone. Okay, so if you click on clone button, then this is like a duplicate data element is being created. Now you can just create the change the name. Let's say hepatitis B and hepatitis B. Okay, and okay, here also description also hepatitis B. Okay, other than that, everything needs to remain same because I also need the the gender category. I need the same number, aggregate sum. I need to store 0 and as it is, and I will just click on save button. Now as soon as I click on save button, my this thing is also saved as you see BCG doses is here, and you also should have the hepatitis. Yes, hepatitis doses underscore T, right? So I'm just going to create the last one, which is um, okay, so hepatitis B. Okay, less than 24. Okay, fine. So we just created two data elements. I have not taken the time thing, so I've just created two data elements for now with this category. Now I'm going to create a default element for home visits. Okay, so I'm going to create sick patients treated. So I'm going to come here, click on plus button, and I would say sick patient treated. Okay, underscore T. I'm going to give the same name in the code in the short name. I can also give a short name like SPT underscore T. Of course, again depends on the requirement. But yeah, if you have a code, you can fill the code description. If any descriptions are required, you can fill that. And then if there are form name available, you can also put the form name. Now I will select the domain type. Again, it is aggregated. I'm just gonna select aggregate from here, and then it's gonna be number, it's gonna be sum, exactly same, and I need to store 0 as well. But this time I will not select any category combination. It will be none, right? Why? Oh, sorry, I just clicked on the back button. No problem. I'm just gonna fill it again. What was it? Sorry, sick patients treated underscore T, and then I will just fill it like that. Form name, domain type aggregated. Yeah, store this. Now I do not need to select category combination because I do not have any categories over here. No male, female, or age group or anything for that matter, right? It's just number. You just need to capture total sick patients treated in the month. So that's why I'm going to leave it like this, none, and just going to save it. Okay, so now this is also saved, which is sick patient treated, right? Now what we're going to do is sorry, sick patient treated. I have to create another one which is diabetic patient treated or mental case treated. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just replicate the same, clone, and I'm going to say patient treated and patient treated. Okay, cases treated, sorry, and it needs to be cases. Yeah, it needs to be exactly same, like none, no category combination required. I'm just going to click on save and voila, done. So now my other data element also is being saved. Yes. Okay. So what I've done now is I've created two data elements from immunization and two data elements for home visits. Okay. So now what you have to do is next thing is now you need to create the form. Okay. So coming from this PPT, we have created the option, we have created the categories, we have created the category combos, and now we will we have also created the data elements, of course. Now we will just create a data set. Coming here, the third tab is over here is for data set. So I'm going to select data set now, data set. This is the list of existing data set that are already available, but I'm going to create a new one for me, and which is, is going to be immunization or home visits, let's say. So I'm going to create home visit first. Home visits. I'm going to give the same short name. I'm going to say who is it, data set underscore t, data set underscore t, and then I'm going to come down over here. Now here there are few important things I would say while creating a data set that we need to take care of, and those things are expiry days, okay, open future period for data entry, and days after period to qualify for timely submission. Okay. Now what they are meaning, okay, by it, expiry days, which means if I put, let's say, 15th, okay, and this is a monthly data set. Now I expect everybody to basically fill this data set by 15th of every month, okay, by 15th day of every month. If you don't do that, your data set will be locked. Okay, this happens for data quality. Maybe we do not need this at this point of time because we are just beginning in the country, but in future we also need to fix these kind of rules to improve our data quality for timely submission and things like that. Okay, so expiry days means that whatever day you put over here, on that day of that month, your data set, your form will be locked for data entry. Okay, again, you can of course request the administrator to unlock that, but you can lock that. Now open future period for data entry, the other one, which means if I am today is in let's suppose we are in June month. Now in the June month, if because if it is going to be like a monthly data set, then I expect that by 30th June, on 30th June, this month will be completed, and on 1st of July, this data set will be opened for data entry. But if I put, let's say, 3 over here, now what happens? This will be open for future period as well. Currently, if I don't put anything or I put 0, this will not be available for data entry even for June month. Why? Because June is even not completed. The data entry period that you see over there will be till May only, right? But even if I want to open it for future period, then I can put any number, and now this will be open for future 3 months only, okay, or whatever the period type is. If it's a year, then our next 3-year data will be open to enter. Okay. Now the last and third one is days after period to qualify for timely submission. Okay, this again we can fix. Let's suppose I want every facility to complete their data by 20th. Okay, so I can just put 20 over here. Now what happens? This won't affect any user. Okay, this won't affect any user. This won't lock your data. This won't do anything as such. But then there is a report in DHIS2 that you can generate to see how many people have completed their data on timely. Okay, so this 20th is basically your timely submission. That is considered that data is being reported on time. But if they report data after 20th, then it will not be considered as data reported on time. So this is just for analysis purpose if you want to use that. Now we have period type. Again, this data set could be monthly, this data set could be annually, bi-weekly, daily, we could select whatever the data type needs requirement. I'm just going to select monthly over here, monthly, and then I'm just going to come down. We do not need all of this things. Just come down. Yeah, now from here, data elements. Now in this in this box, we need to select our data element, which we have just created. So I am creating this data set for home visits. So I've created two data elements for home visit that I need to select, which were sick patient treated, and the other one was mental cases treated. Okay, so I've just selected my both of the data elements available over here. Okay, coming down and coming to the assigning part. Now I have selected everything above. What are the data elements going to be part of this data set? It's going to be monthly or weekly or whatever. I have selected everything. Now I have to select on which facility this form needs to be filled. Okay, let's suppose this needs to be filled on just these facilities, so I could just select 1 2 3. Okay, but if it needs to be select or filled by all this level of facility, I will just go over here, level, village clinic. I will click on village clinic, click on select. Now all the village clinic will be automatically selected. Okay, now this also need to be filled by health centers. I will select health center, select. Now all the health centers are in all the islands are selected automatically. Okay, which means this data set is now being assigned to these facilities. Now I will just click on save button, and as soon as I click on save button, my data set is now saved as home visits dataset underscore t. Okay, just last thing needs to be checked, which is go to action, sharing setting, and then you have public access enabled for this. If this is not enabled, you can see by clicking on this pencil. Yes, now you can see the metadata, but you can't capture anything on this. So what we have to do is, in the sharing setting, we have to choose can capture and view. Okay, public. Now any user of the application who has access to the facility or the data set can capture and view data in this data set. If you want to choose specific users of, let's say, HIU or MS1, you can always select that specific group and give them the access as well, can capture and view. Okay, and you can remove the public access as well. Okay, so for now I'm just gonna give public the access of it, and it should be available to all the users. So this is how you can limit the access of the application. I'm just gonna close it now. Before we go to the application, let's just create the other data set as well, and then we will move towards the data entry to see how they look like. Clicking on plus icon again, same, creating another data set, immunization data set underscore t. Short name I'm going to keep same. Expiry date 0, fine. I'm going to leave it like that only. It's going to also be monthly, and then I need to select my immunization data elements, which were BCG, and the other one is hepatitis. I just selected that. Coming down, I will also need to assign this to health center as well as to health clinics. Now it is now assigned on 132 organization units. Okay, anything else needs to be filled? This, done, monthly. Okay, nothing else needs to be filled, and save. Now my immunization is also being saved at the moment. Okay, done. I'll just go to immunization, and I will also go to this sharing setting, and I will check whether it is enabled or not. It is not enabled. I will just enable it to capture data. Can capture and view, done, close. Okay, now we just created two data sets. Okay, now what we have to do is just go to data entry and start doing the data entry. App menu, data entry. Sometimes you need to clear the browser cache to before it reflects on the data entry, but yeah, most of the time it should come automatically. So this is our data entry app that is just being loaded now. Okay, now it is loaded. What we have to do is go to data set and look for our data set. You see, we have home visits and we have immunization. So I'm going to first select home visit dataset. Once I select home visit, I need to select on which facility I want to capture data for. Now, as you see, I have not assigned this dataset to these facility. That's why they are disabled. But as soon as I go down to the health center and the village clinics, you see this is now enabled. So I could select any of the center, and now I need to select period. Okay. So you see, I have selected, I've given it a 3-month future period open. So now that's why you can see June, July, and August, even on the 21st of June. But if you don't give them, then it will be only be May month. So I can select now any of the month, let's say April, and as soon as you select that, your data set will be opened, mental case treated, sick patient treated, and you can start doing your data entry. Done. And as soon as you move to other field, it will automatically be saved. Okay. So this is how you basically create a data set. Again, let's check the other data set as well. So I'm just gonna select the other data set, which was immunization data set. Now if I click on that, so you see for the same facility, same month, I have opened it, BCG doses, and you see we have now male, female, male, female. Why? Because we have given the category combination, associated with the data element, and now I can also fill this, this, and that. Done. Okay. So this is how basically you create the categories, the data elements, and then data sets, and then you assign it to the I would say to the organization unit, and you come back to the data entry and start doing the data entry. Okay. Of course, during the exercise you will process with the same. I'm just going to give you an example of the same data set. You can create the same data set. Instead of underscore t, you can put your name. Okay, you can create the same data set for practice, we will check that. But instead of, because you will be using the same instance, so you don't duplicate the data elements, that's why I'm suggesting that after the underscore you put your personal name, okay, your first name, so that you can recognize your data element and you don't use any others data elements for that matter. So this is how basically you can create a data set in DHIS2, and you can even do the data entry for it. Okay. Now let's moving forward towards the exercise part.